Molly, you and I share being second generation in this country. We had grandparents who came here. They just did it a different way because the system was different. What do you make of this exercise in decency for the huddled masses that have found their way to our shores?
Look, the circumstances certainly were different. Certainly, our ancestors from Italy, those from Ireland, those who are trying to come now from India, Pakistan, China, wherever you want to come from, most of the people who are trying to get into this country are trying to do it the legal and proper way. And unfortunately, to hear something like a $53 million proposal, this is only 500 migrant families, by the way, and we're supposed to be happy because somehow we've been so inefficient at taking care of these migrants. It's costing over $3 billion a year. That by saving a few dollars, the savings is $7 million potentially, we're supposed to be happy. Of course, this is just not a sustainable system. I know that, Chris knows that, you know that. And unfortunately, things like this, which make the creature comforts for some of these migrants a little easier and a little better, are only going to lead to more migrants coming to New York City. We haven't seen a slowdown. We have 70,000 or so in our care today, and that's most of the people of the 140 who came in total.
Chris?
People aren't coming to America for a $1,000 gift card. People are coming to America because they are fleeing atrocities. I, too, am a second generation from an immigrant family, Italians and Jews. And I'll tell you, they didn't leave Europe because they were happy in Europe. They left Europe because there was a problem. They were fleeing the Nazis in Germany. They were fleeing the fascists from Sicily. And they came to this country for a better life, same as these people are trying to do who are crossing our border now. A shame on our Congress for not acting over the last 40 years, quite frankly, to solve the problem. There have been solutions proposed. There was a 2013 bill that was a very good bill, far more progressive than this bill, and supported by people like Marco Rubio, who are now saying they won't support this bill, which is the most conservative, border security-centric immigration bill we've seen in 40 years. Look, we got to solve the problem. I get it. New York City shouldn't bear the burden by itself. But we can't just sit back and say people are going to come here for a $1,000 gift card. Trust me, they're not.
Well, but we are seeing that people are coming here for very little incentive, and they are not fleeing the Nazis, which is a material difference and something that goes to the reconsideration of our asylum laws, which is not part of the current configuration of the bill. Chris, the idea of passing the bill. Okay, so Joe, I bounce it to you. Congress doesn't need to pass this. The problem works better for both parties, frankly, than working together to fix it. But you do, Mr. Borrelli, because you will actually be held to account by people in your constituency for the state of play on the city streets, and people are increasingly worried about the people and worried about their own safety. How do you deal with this?
Yeah, I mean, the budget crisis is one part of it, $3 billion. That's more than our fire department and our parks department combined. But now we see a percentage of these folks that are here committing pretty serious crimes. The mayor just busted down a door with a SWAT team this morning on a migrant posse of folks who are just robbing people all over the city. We also had some migrants assault a police officer, and the majority of them went to California. But just to go back to the bill in Congress, the Democrats want to pretend like history started a few weeks ago. That's just not true. This was not a problem in January 2021. Right? We didn't have an immigration crisis. Joe Biden came in on day one, made 40 or so changes to Customs and Border Protection policies, and the net result is the problem we face today. And the House, frankly, passed H.R. 2 back in March of last year, and the Senate did nothing to act. And that's a bill that deals exclusively on the border and doesn't get into sort of funding the other things that have become wedge issues in American politics.
Chris, fair point. Biden's policies made this situation worse, allowing that he did get a big bump in incentive to come here after the pandemic. But that said, canceling Remain in Mexico, canceling home country agreements, listening to the left flank about maybe we should be talking amnesty for everybody. Do the Democrats own this?
No, not anymore. If the Republicans want a deal, there's a deal to be had. Here's the thing about H.R. 2. H.R. 2 is perfect in Republican fantasy land. Unfortunately, they only control 1/3 of the political branches of government right now. They've got to negotiate with the president and the Senate. A fair negotiation has been made. Look, Senator Langford is not a wishy-washy liberal. He is the second most conservative member of the United States Senate. He negotiated this bill. He thinks this is a good deal for Republicans, and it moves the ball forward. So does the very conservative Border and Customs Union that has already endorsed this bill. So, look, I mean, you're never going to get everything you want. That's unfortunate. Unfortunately, right now in Washington, people don't understand compromise anymore. Nobody wants to come to the middle and get a little, lose a little, and move the ball forward and then fight another day if it doesn't do the job.
Yeah, that's because it works better for both parties to just blame the other one for being worse and scary and dangerous and evil, and they don't have to get anything done. And they duped the country into believing this. You know, I was just listening to this song from Devo. I don't know if either of you guys are old enough to remember them, but in 1980 they wrote a song called Freedom of Choice. And they have a brilliant thought in it where they say, freedom of choice is what you have. Freedom from choice is what you want. And that's what this two-party system is doing. It's brainwashing people that all you want to care about is the advantage for your party. Joe, the idea of... Well, but look, you can say their party's worse than my party. I don't care. It's the whole system that I see as a problem. But let me just finish with Varela.
Chris, hold on a minute.
What?
Hold on. There is a guy in the Senate who is a conservative Republican who wrote this bill. This is not a Republican-Democrat thing. This is a people who want to move the ball forward and actually want to govern versus this MAGA wing of the party that wants what they want an issue for Donald Trump to run on for president. And that is a ridiculous thing. I'm not blaming both sides. I am blaming people who are obstructionists who do not want to get the job done in Washington.
Fine, that's your prerogative. That's your prerogative. If you want to look at two or three senators on the right that are making this happen as some kind of proxy for consensus, go ahead. But I believe that you could have fixed this problem under Obama. You had the numbers to force it through. He chose the ACA, and then he lost the numbers. This has been something where Democrats have let it lie, and Republicans have let it lie. But let me just finish with Borelli on one thing. We can disagree. It's okay. Everybody's being nice. It's all that matters. The American people are sick of the fake nasty. So, Mr. Borelli, the idea of passing this deal, something is better than nothing. What do you say to the Border Patrol agents who have adopted that position? It ain't perfect, but it's better than what we got now.
Well, there were a number of Border Patrol agents who also came out and supported H.R. 2 about 10 months ago. There just wasn't as much fanfare about their support because it didn't really meet the narrative of being a bipartisan thing. And we've all seen how a bill becomes a law. Chuck Schumer had H.R. 2 on his desk for 10 months. He could have passed a bill that was solely focused on the border. He could have used the leverage he had in the White House, right? The chips are with the Democrats right now in the election.
Yeah.
So he had the opportunity to do it and to come up with a proposal that most Republicans in the Senate, nearly every one of them, is not in favor of, and certainly the House is in favor of, is not a real compromise. It's a compromise with Mitch McConnell and Senator Langford. That's it. That is not a compromise with the other side.
There were a lot more before Trump opened up his mouth and started saying, I want this issue for the election. Look, they said it out loud. Let's not pretend that that's not why they're holding this up. Trump actually said he doesn't want this bill to pass because he wants the issue. And Johnson's right there with them, and so is like Marco Rubio. And as for Obama, the 2013 Border Security and Immigration Modernization Act would have solved this problem too. It passed the U.S. Senate with broad bipartisan support, including Marco Rubio and Mitch McConnell voting in favor of it. So look, people want to get things done. They should get things done.
Chris, go back to 2020. The Democrats ran on this issue. It was the raison d'etre. It was the Trump's Achilles heel, according to Democrats. And you know what? They actually won the election. Why are they afraid of it?
I'm old enough to remember 2020. In fact, I was talking about it on national television. Look, and the Republicans were talking about caravans coming up from Mexico. I'm old enough to remember.
They were.
They sure did. No,
they sure did. They were. They just weren't all rapists and drug dealers. Look, again, fellas, I don't apologize for believing that this is manufactured in part by the parties who like the issue for their campaigns more than they like the idea of solving. Could the Democrats have gotten this bill cleaner without adding Ukraine? Yeah, they chose not to. Could the Republicans have made a deal 3 or 4 times